companies actually export to Europe. So we have carbon tax in South Africa coming 26, 27, 28 and then onwards, which is going to increase the cost of electricity quite a bit. But when you look at exporting these minerals overseas where they are consumed, they're often going to attract the carbon tax rate that's applicable in Europe, which is, by our calculations, multiples higher. And the ability to greenify the product here not makes them only more competitive locally, but a lot more competitive internationally because they get to compete on that basis. And ironically, something just to add on as well is we have the dirtiest electricity in the world, South Africa. It's just the nature of our history. We have a lot of coal mines, and it's been our history. But we also have the asset of renewable energy. We have some of the best solar radiation in the world around that, which means that we could probably produce this electricity at a cheaper rate than the rest of the world and make our companies even more competitive. So I think the opportunity is very exciting, and the opportunity is there for the mining company. A single eureka moment, most definitely not, but a series of breaking down and small little successes that have come along the way. The data has been incredibly informative for us. I mean, we usually come from a insurance and financial services side of the business, where data is the way we use modeling and use to predict how things work. And our access to data, and I think this is largely from existing renewable projects and studies being done in business consumption, that has been, the moment whereby, you said, listen, let's look at how we can combine this and get to that higher percentage. So a lot of little increments and victories to get that point, but sadly not a massive eureka moment. I think that's just for the movies. No, they can definitely jump up and scream, and I think when we get to constructing our first plants in the next few months, they'll definitely be jumping up and down and screaming. At Discovery, we actually have north of 400 actuaries on it, so we've taken, I like to think, some of the best ones who work permanently now for Discovery. So we have a team of actuarial specialists in charge of modeling, in charge of risk management. Because if you think about it, when it comes to renewable energy, it's volatile. It's uncertain. We'll think, the wind always blows the same. It does not. The sun doesn't always shine the same. The cloud cover, you can't predict it. And modeling is really a valuable tool, modeling based on data. So we have a permanent team of actuaries. There's a big chunk. I think it's about 30% of our team is made out of actuaries.
Sure.
At this point, we have a strict policy at Discovery where we always hire the best person for every single role. And the team we've built around for Discovery Green comes from a variety of different backgrounds, bringing in new insights that we've never seen. So as the team goes itself, it's actually quite a diverse team itself. I mean, we as a team got full diversification, which we're excited about. But as a company also, we're a BE level 1 company, which I think is very exciting. And when we deliver energy to our mining clients, a big factor for them is ensuring that when they procure energy from us, they're procuring it from a supplier with a high BE rating. So that's a big factor and a big benefit as well. In South Africa, I think we've, especially since a lot of load shedding has happened, there's been a massive push towards solar energy, and rightfully so. Companies had to find a solution to find a way to get more energy and reduce their cost of electricity. So we've got a lot of sun in South Africa, so there's been a big drive towards rapidly adopting solar generation. I think it made sense on that. And we've seen people do it in different forms. You get people building large-scale plants, connecting it to the grid, or companies installing a lot of solar panels on their rooftops or on the land next to them. Now, there's a lot of benefit to that, but I think companies need to be very aware of the risks associated with that. And I'm going to say something that is going to sound extremely elementary, but it actually goes down to this principle. The sun only shines during the day. And because that is the case, you're only generating during the day. So ignoring battery solutions, which are, costs are coming down, but for the time being. The problem with that is that you are relying on the sun during the day to generate your electricity. If there's cloud cover, there's intermittent. And everything else, you still rely on the grid on it. Which means that once you've gone a lot of solar, you now, if you ever look for more renewable energy, your hands are a little bit tied because the wind also blows during the day. So if you want to get wind energy, you either have to scale back on your solar or pay for wasted generation. So this big drive towards solar is a very, I think, is a very, very good thing for the country. I think it's now time for companies to say, listen, that's one part of the solution. It's time to look at how we can look at that and ways to fill in the rest of the gaps, because you need energy at night. You need to get a lot of electricity at night. And if you see where Eskom's latest RTP application at NERSA, which is currently being reviewed, going through, is that everyone's recognizing that putting only solar during the day is putting a lot of strain on generation to find ways to generate or find ways to create revenue at night or during peak times. And what you'll see is that the financial benefit of daytime generation becomes less and less and less. The financial benefit of nighttime generation becomes more and more, and that's why, us as Discovery Green have been in complete focus on securing a large amount of wind generation as part of our portfolio, because the wind also blows at night and can generate power for companies who operate 24/7. If you think about the mining sector, 24/7 power is critical. Interesting question. So when it comes to renewable energy, there's sort of two factors. I mean, there are the resources that you have to connect to it. But you also, importantly, have to manage grid. Grid is a very, very important factor. So over the last few years, there hasn't been a lot of investment in grid in South Africa, mainly because those funds were dedicated towards generation and avoiding load shedding. So we haven't built a lot of grid. It's changing now, and there's a lot of momentum beyond that. But solar panels you can put up almost anywhere. Wind, the business case really makes sense where areas where there's a lot of wind, and you also have to take into account environmental impact, and there's a lot of more requirements in order to put up wind. So just putting down a lot of wind, doing that without the grid infrastructure supporting that is difficult, and also putting that down without being aware that there might come a time when the wind actually doesn't blow for a full day and we can't shut down the country at that time. So it is a partial solution. So our focus at this point in time is in South Africa, although there is a mechanism called the Southern African Power Pool, whereby electricity can be traded across borders. That is something we are looking at potentially into the future to be able to provide companies with operations in bordering countries to be able to say, so we can generate energy in South Africa and take that. But I think definitely with the demand for electricity in South Africa, our focus is here right now. Currently in South Africa, we have around about, it varies time to time, but about 8 to 9% of our grid is renewable. Compared to the rest of the world, where it's actually, I think the median is sub 50 on that. So we have a long journey to go, and I think that demand or the market growth is going to be very, very much a function of decommissioning of existing dirty generation facilities and the process for doing that, if that is done. So I think that is one important factor, replacing dirty electricity with dirty generation with clean generation or renewable generation. And the other one is economic growth. Electricity consumption is very much correlated with economic growth. The more the economy grows, the more consumption there is. And I think there's been a lot of businesses, and I think a lot of people in South Africa with a few years of load shedding in this country that have held back on investment in capital projects. And I think now that has been lifted or softened quite a bit, I think demand might actually pick up. So you have two factors: decommissioning and increased demand. And with that being said, I mean, projections are that by 2030, we will need more than 30 gigawatts worth of renewable energy. How we achieve that, still to be determined, but I think it's a good and ambitious goal.